Hey, Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com, and we've had all the questions coming in from the customers, and this one is about light wind kites. What makes a kite so specific for light winds? Which ones what I would consider really good? Which ones in different ways that may match you? So let's talk about light wind kites. Light wind kites in the last couple years, 2 to 3 years, the guys have really put their focus not just by expanding original design and making a bigger kite, but actually doing a lot of work within the kite to make it light wind specific. Now, one of the very first ones is right behind me here. Rob Whittle did an amazing job when the first Zephyr came out. He focused all of his energy on just a light wind specific kite, and that was where the Zephyr came in. Really nice kite, and he's made a great modifications to it. Now, another kite that was in that lineup right around that time, what I consider was Cabrinus Contra. Really nice kite. Now, what makes these kites so good? The reason is when you're in light wind conditions, the goal is to get the biggest surface area you can to turn and respond, but also ride upwind. Get it as light as possible, get the performance where it wants to move with speed. If you can't get the apparent wind built up, you're going to have a problem staying upwind in the light winds. Yes, we can swerve a kite, move a kite up and down, generate the power, and try to just keep going. Well, what the truth is you're not going upwind. When you can park that kite, generate that apparent wind, and apparent wind is that motion you get across the water. You start building up. Now, here's the biggest complaint that I have about people who say, I'm just going to get a bigger kite to go in light winds. That's not your only problem. The thing you have to understand about light wind riding is the kites will not go fast. The bigger the kite, the slower it will fly. I'm not talking about turning, I'm talking about flying. So when that kite is going at a slower speed than your smaller one, you've got to get the surface area on your board that will keep you on plane at that slower speed. So when I get people asking me, I'm going, are you wanting this big kite because you're a heavier weight rider? Or are you wanting it to truly ride in the lighter winds? If you're trying to ride in the lighter winds, you've got to get the balance between board surface area, depending on your weight and the winds you're wanting to ride in, and the kite. So it's not just going bigger, get you going in lighter winds. You've got to work on both areas, board, kite, and the number 3 is your skill. Working the skill in the lighter winds and getting that kite to build up that apparent wind is very important. I will see guys out there working their kite and parking it low. Wrong. Park the kite at about a 45 degree. Always keep it higher. When the kite is higher, it lifts your weight up off of that board. It holds your weight up, decreases the weight on that board, and gets it on a plane sooner. So work that combination. If you don't feel you're going, keep it up. You don't drop it down low and start edging real hard. The goal is to get the surface area of the board on the water as much as possible. Shift that weight a little bit forward on that front foot so more surface gets in the water, and get that kite working, and then get it parked up at a good 45 degree angle, and hopefully that'll work for you. Those are little bitty tricks that really help you out. Now, in the board side of things, you've got to adjust that out. That's a whole nother video we'll do, but talking about the kites. Let's get back to kite design and idea behind low wind. If you look at the kites, now I'm going to give you a list of a few kites. This new trend going on with this no strut situation, I'm sorry, I do not stand behind it. I have done some testing on it. What actually happens is you cannot pull the kite beyond the flying point and put it into a further upwind ability. Reason is these struts hold the luff curve and the arch in the sail. As soon as this kite goes beyond its flying point and starts getting close to that, all this sail will begin to luff. And when that luffs, the kite backs up and begins to pull like a truck. I speak from experience. Go give them a try and you tell me if I'm wrong. Well, that's what it is. So keep an eye on that. Having less and less struts makes the kite lighter, but your performance goes away. These things keep the sail tight, allow you to pull it a little bit further around the window to get that upwind ability. Now, 2 things about light wind kites. If you're a heavyweight rider, you want to change those models and go to something that gives you a little bit more low and grunt. That low and grunt comes from things like the Wayman Big Mama. The Crazy Fly Cruise is a really good one. They have a new one that came out this year. Fantastic kites. These things give you more low-end grunt to riding. If you want to look also at low-end grunt, the Nash Fly has a lot of that. It is a big truck. I'm about 170 pounds holding that thing. When it starts to hit the power, the window, again, that's a one-strut kite. So the performance, as soon as I start to try to depower it and move I wouldn't say depower, but move its angle of attack and get it into the wind, it becomes a truck. I can't hold it back. Some big guys wrote it. They said it was okay. Put some time on it. They said again the same thing I said. It was so hard to get upwind when I finally did have the power, but it did get in the air. So some of that stuff, that's the way it is. Now let's get back into foils too. Foils can be a big difference. If you want to mess with the bridles and you want to mess with those things and keep them out of the water so you're not messing with, this is very, very common now when you're kiteboarding, you don't put them in the water as much. So foils can give you a lot of power. The performance of a wing is if we had another surface here, top surface and a bottom surface, that is the most efficient. That's why a paraglider is one of the most efficient wings in the air. So that's where Fly Surfer comes in, and the new one from Ozone, we cannot wait to get this in our hand. We've seen some reviews on it called the Chrono. It's the next one coming. Fully depowerable foils that, I say fully, they do depower down to a certain point, not as much as an inflatable. So don't think about that. If those foils have a certain range of depower, but if you're looking for the ultimate of light winds and you get that balance with a board, they work. It is a proven deal. I've seen it and it's really cool, but you got to mess with them. They're not cheap. There's a lot of materials and a lot of work that goes into those. So some of the top ones, this is my own view. I look at it as, I love the Ozone Zephyr. A lot of things about my weight. It gives me a lot of good range to it. Gets upwind ability. Another one is that Cabrina Contra. Very, very nice kite. Very fast. Very, I say fast for its size. Don't take me there. It rides fast. These things don't turn a whole lot. Everybody's increased their wingtips, so they're turning a little faster. The next one is also the Slingshot Turbine. We spent some time on it as well. Great balanced kite. All of those kites right around that 17 or 18 meter. If you can't go with those, you can't go with those kites because you're bigger weight or something, look at your board. Don't look at getting a bigger kite. 17 and 18 should be where you're sitting at. Change the board. You'll spend way less on a board and you will go in those light winds. Anyway, that's Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com. We hope to give you the points to keep you on the water. If I can ever help you, please send us some emails to Kiteboarding.com. I'd be happy to put on some videos, give you my points of interest. If they help, then great. If not, what else can I do? Come down and ride with us. Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com.